Hi and welcome. We're talking about land trust. This is an introductory article written by my friend Mike Jacka in Minnesota. It is a wonderful article that really goes through how do land trusts help real estate investors? How do they do it? Okay, let's get started. The land trust is the investor's best friend and the ambulance chaser's worst nightmare. So the land trust is going to allow you to publicly own nothing while quietly building an empire that you control and benefit from. So it's privacy and protection. So what is a land trust? How does it work? Well, it's a modified living trust. You've heard of living trust before. Everybody uses estate planning and wills and so forth. It's going to hide your name from public records, which is fantastic. The land trust, also known as the Illinois Land Trust, if you just Google Illinois Land Trust, you'll find lots of information. Differs slightly from a regular living trust in that the trustee is mere nominee. So it's just a mere nominee that the trustee can be anyone, can be a bank, can be a trust company, can be a friend. It's very important not to be a relative. The beneficiaries have the right to direct the trustee as to the following: acquisition, that means buying; management, property management; and disposition means selling of trust property. So once this property is in the trust, it's called trust property. So what's the main purpose for using a land trust? The main purpose for using a land trust is privacy of ownership. No one is going to know who owns the property but just you and your trustee. If the trustee resides in a different state than the property is located, it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, for anyone to discover the proverbial man behind the curtain. If a judgment is entered against you in a court, the lien will not automatically attach to the property since the title is not in your name. It's in the name of the trust. Now, you wouldn't drive around town with a financial statement printed all over your vehicle, would you? So why would you have your most valuable asset exposed to public scrutiny? Owning real estate in your own name is like walking around with a giant easy target sign on your back. In every county in the United States, copies of deeds to real estate are recorded in public records. Anyone can go down to the courthouse or recorder's office and look up the owner of any property in the county. So, how do we keep it out of public records? That's the purpose. The purpose of the land trust is keep your name out of public records. The only thing recorded would be the trustee and the name of the trust. All right? The only thing that's going to be recorded would be the trustee and the name of the land trust. You can be involved with the property in a managerial position. Everyone would deal with just you, but as far as they know, you're only the manager and not the owner. And this really helps if you have a lot of rental properties and you can just say, look, I'm just the manager, but we need to increase the rent. You're not the rich landlord or the owner. If a land trust, is it difficult to set up? How do we do that? No, land trusts are fairly easy. There's a few documents that's needed to prepare a land trust properly, but the only thing that gets recorded is the warranty deed to trustee. If you've never used a land trust before, you want to seek out somebody that has used land trust and fully understand the ins and outs of land trust. There are individuals and corporations in almost every major city that would be a trustee, and they do charge a fee for that. I have a company set up just for land trusts in Minnesota. In the bottom of this report, you can contact my information if you're interested in more information or if you have further questions or you're looking for a trustee in your state. Now, who should use a land trust? Well, anyone that owns property, that has assets. Do you own rental property? Then you're a prime candidate for a lawsuit. Sorry about that. There's a typo there. ask me how I know that. Well, let's say you have 3 rental properties and you're a small-time investor and you keep a low profile and you have plenty of property insurance and liability insurance on your investment properties. One day in the middle of winter, one of your tenants has a few friends over. They have a couple of drinks and then they take off. There's ice on the sidewalk and this person falls and cracks his head open. There's a minor injury, but he's all right. But he goes to a lawyer and he says it was negligence on the landlord's part. That's you. After all, you weren't there to walk this person to the car and there was ice on the sidewalk. It's not his fault he had too much to drink and fell on your sidewalk. Now, the attorney does a quick asset search and he finds out that you own 4 houses. Wow. Your personal residence and 3 rental properties. There must be some equity there. So the attorney tells his client he's going to take the case on a contingency basis and says, if we win, I get paid. We call those ambulance chasers. Now, most insurance only covers this type of case for up to a certain level, and they're going to be suing for much more, higher than that limit. They're probably going to be looking for an out-of-court settlement. But you don't have that kind of money, so you have to go to court. And if the judge agrees with the competition, you're going to be stuck with a judgment that'll attach on all your properties in your name. You might even be forced to sell these rental properties that you've worked so hard for all these years, just to settle this judgment. Wow. Well, what's the solution? Well, what if all 3 rental properties were in separate land trusts? The story might go something like this, and it's very different. The attorney does a quick asset search and finds that you own nothing. Then he checks the title and finds out that the property is in a land trust when he checks all the public records. And the attorney would probably then go back to his client and offer to help. He would tell his client that he thinks that there is something there to get, but it is something to be a time-consuming and expensive battle. But he will get started right away for a $5,000 retainer. At this point, most of these frivolous cases disappear. The client usually doesn't have that kind of money, and if they have no guarantee of ever winning. But let's say that this one does, and let's say that they find all 3 rental properties, and even though they're in land trust, very unlikely but possible. And let's say they even get a large judgment, and this judgment could not attach to you if they were properly structured in separate land trusts. The judgment would only be against one property, not all 3 rental properties. You could hold on to them forever and never pay off the judgment if you so chose. Or you could deal with the judgment when you felt like it, not when you wanted to buy or sell another investment property. If enough time passes by and the attorney and their client realizes that they're not going to make any money, you might be in a very strong position to settle for a discount, pennies on the dollar. So it sounds pretty good. How much does it cost to put a property into a land trust? Nothing, except what you would owe your trustee for their services. There's no extra documents to record. You have to record the deed, but the deed would be to your land trust instead of you personally. And that does not cost anything extra. Your closing costs would be the same as if you took title in your own name or your own company name. A trust, unlike a corporation, is not registered with the state. There's no public records for officers, of directors, or shareholders. There's no minutes of directors and shareholders meetings. The trustee keeps control of the trust records and the identity of the beneficiaries, which are you, in his file cabinet. A trustee will not reveal this information without a court order. Well, how does the taxes work with a trust? A trust is a flow-through entity for tax purposes. If you go to the IRS site and just go flow-through entity, you'll get information on that. The IRS does not even require you to get an EIN or employee identity number for the trust. as long as the trust falls within a few exceptions of doing this business. And for the most part, all of your land trusts will fall into for at least one of their exceptions. Your tax account will check for you, but for the most part, if you have a land trust for investment properties, you will not need an EIN number. The properties will be included on your personal tax returns. The fee owner is not important here, just the person or entity who enjoys the benefits of the trust. Now, on another separate subject, there's something called a personal property trust. A personal property trust, like a land trust, is a simple revocable or changeable trust used to hold title to assets. Cars and boats and bank accounts and leases and mortgages and mobile homes and corporate stock, you name it. They can all be held in the name of a trustee. Anything that can be found on public record is a dead giveaway to potential creditors or contingency fee attorneys, you know, those ambulance chasers, and deadbeat litigants looking to steal your hard-earned fortune. Using a trustee trust, a land trust, to hold title to assets will help keep your financial matters private and discreet in the information internet age. So I hope this has really kind of opened up your eyes to land trusts. Land trusts are wonderful. They really help keep what you own private and away from people that want to sue you. Thanks a lot for listening to this.